European football's governing body, Uefa, has launched an investigation after the Real Madrid forward Vinicius Jr claimed that he was racially abused in Tuesday night's Champions League match against the Portuguese side Benfica. Uefa said it had tasked an ethics and disciplinary inspector with investigating the game. The match was paused for 10 minutes after Vinicius Jr accused Benfica's midfielder Gianluca Prestianni of making a racist comment to him. Prestianni said that after the game, Vinicius had misinterpreted what he thought he heard and added that he's never been racist towards anyone. Let's speak to Sanjay Bandari, chair of the Kick It Out organisation. Sanjay, welcome. What's the first thing that should happen when an incident like this occurs?
Good afternoon. The first thing that should happen is that we should think about the victim and listen to the victim and ensure that the victim is heard and feels supported. And obviously, to a degree, that's what you have with the three-step protocol. You take the referee takes the victim's complaint, stops the match, goes in effect, gets evidence from other players and people around, and then makes a decision as to what to do next. And so, yeah, that is the first thing we should be thinking about, is that person. And it was great to see the Real Madrid players like Trent Alexander-Arnold and Kylian Mbappe and others supporting their teammate.
What issue do you have with how it played out, though, in this instance? Because Jose Mourinho, the Benfica boss, has made some comments saying, a stadium where Vinicius plays or something always happens, casting doubt on whether he really heard what he says he heard.
Look, I suppose there are two things here. There's what's going to be the outcome of the case? Did he hear what he said he heard? Well, look, this is not the first time there's any kind of case where it may come down to what one person believes they heard and what another person believes they said, and it will be a matter for the UEFA disciplinary committee to take a look at that evidence, including, what were the precise words that Prestiani says that he said, and how could they possibly have been misheard in the way in which they are alleged to have, and look at the circumstances around that. So if he really was saying something innocent, why did he cover his mouth up while he was saying it? That's not the act of an innocent person. I think what followed after the match really was, we've described it, and I continue to feel this, described it as gaslighting by Jose Mourinho and by Benfica, because first, referring back to a legend of the Benfica Football Club and saying Benfica can't be racist, this player can't be racist because one of our legends is a black player. Well, look, that's like saying some of my best friends are black. It's kind of the oldest trick in the book. But worse is Jose Mourinho saying that somehow Vinicius provoked this by the nature of his celebration, and that is a sort of cause of the racism that he says that he experienced. Now, it's incumbent on the leaders in the game to be responsible and professional, and I just think that Mourinho's made a massive misstep, Benfica have made a massive misstep, and it actually adds insult to injury, because it's not just anyone accusing Vinny Jr of being provocative. It is Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho is one of the most provocative figures in world football. This is someone who did a knee slide at Old Trafford when he was at Porto. There's no difference between his knee slide at Old Trafford and Vinny Jr.'s celebration last night. But Mourinho's also the kind of person he is the person who, when he was manager of Real Madrid, and the now deceased Tito Villanova was the manager of Barcelona, he would constantly refer to him as Pito, which is a derogatory Spanish slang word.
Sanjay,
and he poked Villanova in the eye during an El Clasico. This is a very, very deeply provocative person. So he's a double standard to expect a player to adhere to standards to which he himself does not adhere.
I mean, if someone is found guilty, there's a 10-match ban minimum waiting for them under the rules. But just briefly and finally, do you despair of where football's at? We seem to have been talking about this for as long as I can remember, racism in football, despite all the initiatives.
Look, human beings are human beings, and what we have at the moment is a society where people feel emboldened to say things, and so we can live in a society where society feels better than it did 40 years ago. That's true. but it feels worse than it did 10 years ago, and that's also true. And people feel emboldened to express racist opinions.
Sanjay Bandari, Chair of Kick It Out, thank you very much for talking to us on BBC News. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.